Good morning. I think we can start our webinar. Welcome back to our second webinar from the Winning Strategies for Government Contracting series. Today's webinar is Advanced Teaming Strategies to Accelerate Small Business Revenue. We have 3 more webinars scheduled as part of this series, and you can find the schedule on the flyer you'll receive after the webinar. My name is Veronica Doga. I'm the Program Director of the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which is part of Nebraska Business Development Center. I want to quickly remind you about NBDC's various services offered to small businesses like export assistance, market research, technology commercialization, financial projections, business valuations, professional development training, and government contracting. The government contracting assistance is offered by the PTAC. We have PTAC consultants across the state in Omaha, Lincoln, Wayne, and Kearney. Our certified consultants provide confidential, impartial services and educational opportunities to businesses that are interested in selling their products and services to the state, local, and federal governments. Our services include government market research, where you can discover new markets, finding upcoming opportunities through bid match, bidding assistance and proposal review, certification and registration assistance, training and networking events, which include webinars, workshops, and seminars, and Meet the Buyers Conference. I encourage you to visit the website for a comprehensive upcoming events and conferences listing. The format of the webinar is similar to the one last month. We'll have the presentation for about 1 hour, and then we'll have a Q&A session for 15 minutes. Please use the comment box to submit all your questions. All the participants will be in listen-only mode. The webinar is also being recorded. The recorded version of the webinar will be available to participants upon request. This morning, Joshua Frank is back. Josh is the Managing Partner for RSM Federal and Managing Partner for Federal Access Program. Mr. Frank specializes in the development and implementation of techniques and strategies for government contracting. His training sessions are consistently rated as one of the strongest sessions at national conferences and events. Josh, the microphone is yours.
Excellent. Since I just took myself off mute, Veronica, just verify you can hear me, please.
Yes, and I think you're not muted.
Excellent. All righty. All right. Well, everyone, welcome back for another month in the series. And I do want to throw a shout out for everyone that's on today that is new to the Nebraska PTAC. They've got probably one of the strongest list of sessions and training events that I've seen on any of the sites around the country. So the Nebraska team never ceases to impress me. So on that note, let's go into what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about teaming, and we're going to go into some advanced concepts. You've already had a general overview of who I am. You know, I specialize, if this is your first webinar with me, I specialize in techniques and strategies that are designed to accelerate an entrepreneur, a small business, even mid-tier, into the federal market. Major small business advocate, you know, my company, we're small. You know, I'm the chairman of the board for the Veterans Business Outreach Center in the Midwest. So I've been working in this space for over 25 years. And the core thing, and I'm going to talk about that today, is it's not what you learn, okay? It's not what you learn, it's how you apply it. And so, you know, many of you have probably been to, and you'll also find that I go off on tangents, but they're good tangents. You know, many of you have been to, you know, received help, have been to various conferences, and you sometimes wonder, hey, I'm learning the exact same things that everybody else is learning. Why am I not winning as much? Why am I not winning contracts maybe as fast as the competition? Well, here's the deal. Your competition doesn't know more than you, but they understand how to apply what they've learned. And that's the difference between making millions and floundering and trying to figure out what you want to do. So, you know, this webinar today, just like others, it's about teaching you how to apply concepts and techniques and strategies. I'm not going to bore you with the same stuff everybody else tells you, because that's not going to help you, okay? You can't talk about teaming without talking about sales, right? You know, your capture strategy. Capture is prospecting and business development, sales, writing the proposal, you know, submitting your bid. That's all quote unquote capture. And you got to have intelligence. Other companies are not going to team with you if you don't know anything about the market. Okay, and we'll go into detail on that as we go through this morning. Again, you can't talk teaming without also talking about sales. And we know for a fact 80% of companies focus on unqualified opportunities. Now, if the first time you hear about an opportunity, it's on FedBizOpps, chances are it's too late. Now, that does not mean every company goes after opportunities that they see for the first time on FedBizOpps. But the majority of your opportunities cannot be coming off of FedBizOpps without having any other intelligence. Last month we did the session on prospecting and business development and techniques and strategies and where you should focus. If you did not attend last month's session, reach out to Veronica and her team and ask for a copy of that presentation or the video, the recording of the video. So, you know, 80% of companies focus on unqualified opportunities because they don't have any intelligence that enables them to differentiate from the other companies and make them more competitive, right? This is business 101. But if you think about it, sure, that's why so many companies focus on opportunities that are unqualified. Now, why do companies waste 80% of their time on unqualified opportunities? Because they don't have intelligence. All right, they don't have the strategies they need to make a bid or you know, a sales or teaming decision. So we're going to talk about intelligence and the critical value of having information when you are talking to other companies. So here's what we're going to do today. It's a 60-minute session with 15-minute Q&A. Everything that I'm going to be talking about today, just like last month, comes out of FA, right? It's just a program that we have. If you want a free copy of the manual, it's a 450-page manual, over 1,000 techniques and strategies. It is the foundation and backbone for my entire company. We're going to have a free drawing, and I'll show you at the end. We're going to talk about intelligence today. We're going to talk about your common challenges. We'll talk about, you know, how you're evaluated, how to differentiate, your status. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, and I'm going to move fairly quickly, and I'm known for shoving a lot of information into a very short period of time. So we're going to talk teaming, and the very first thing we're going to talk about is intelligence. Now, we're going to go off on a tangent, and right before we get into intelligence, where do most companies focus? 80% after the RFP is released, right? Or the RFQ has released. Where should you focus? Positioning with prospects, okay? If you say to me, and I've worked with thousands of companies over the years, if you say to me, I just don't have the resources to do it, then you're not going to win anything, or you're not going to win a lot. Companies that succeed, both commercial and federal, focus in pre-acquisition. They focus their sales, their teaming, right? Everything, 80% of it, before anything moves into a request for proposal or a request for quote, okay? Now, to drill this point home, look at this chart, graphic. pre-acquisition and acquisition. Just like last month, we talked about you want to focus in pre-acquisition. For teaming, it's no different. You want to focus pre-acquisition. So everything to the left, right, for building concept. Now, this is probably the most important point technique that I'm going to talk today. What do most companies do when they identify an opportunity that they want to engage? And they say, you know, I go, there's no way that I can prime this opportunity. It's too big for me, right? I need to get on a team. And so what do most companies do? Well, I will, or most companies will call the teaming partner, right? And it goes something like this. Hey, Mike, this is Josh. I'm with, Federal Access. And we saw this opportunity out there with the Department of Commerce. And we really want to go after it, but we've got to get on a team. And we understand you're going to be creating a team. We want to be on your team. And Mike says, you know, well, Josh, what do you guys do? And I tell him, and Mike goes, all right, so first of all, thank you for calling. You are exactly the type of company we're looking for, but I'm not the capture manager over here at SAIC, okay? And, you know, the person running this is Mary. Mary's over in the other building. Josh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your contact info. I got your name, your number, some of your capability statement, and I'm going to forward all that to Mary, and then Mary's going to give you a call, and from there we can figure out teaming agreements, et cetera, et cetera. 99% of companies, they go, oh, Mike, thank you so much. They hang up the phone, and they go, yes, we're going to get on SAI's team. Now, are you going to get a call from Mary? Am I going to get a call from Mary? 99.9% of the time, I will never get the call. And all of you that are on here that have attempted to work with larger companies and try to get on not just a team, but a really strong team, know the frustration of never getting a call back, of not getting a response to your emails, okay? That's the left side of this triangle, and that's what most companies do. Now, the process I'm going to walk you through right here, in part, 90% of the time will get you on the team you want to get on. So, instead of simply calling your teaming partner, here's the process that you follow. First, you call the government. Do not ever, ever, ever call a teaming partner, a prospective partner, unless you have something more than what is in FedBiz Ops. And hopefully you're in pre-acquisition, and the RFP is not even out yet. For those of you that are wondering, I'm going to go off on a quick tangent. Hey, how do I get engaged pre-acquisition? Ask Veronica and her team to send you the webinar from last month. But the short answer is you've got to pick a couple of 2, 3 agencies or armed services, and you have to engage them for an entire year, okay? And build relationships. That's how you identify stuff before it comes out for actual competition. So what I do is before I call the teaming partner, I call the government and I call the contracting officer. Even if we're already in acquisition, let's say we're already in acquisition, and I get the contracting officer on the phone and I go, hey, Bill, Josh with FA, hey, just curious, why now? Why are you releasing this requirement now? What is driving? This can't be a new problem or issue that the government's had, that the Army has, that Interior has, etc. And just start asking questions. It doesn't matter whether your intelligence is earth-shattering. It doesn't matter if your intelligence is going to provide serious competitive advantage, you know, like when you or someone else bids on the opportunity. The point is, you've made a call, and you've asked questions, and you've started to collect information. After you talk to the government, right? Again, you may not be earth-shattering, but you're talking to them. Now you call the partner. And folks, what I'm recommending you do every single time you do this, you will increase the maturity of your business 1,000%, and companies out there will start partnering and teaming with you and working with you. So after I've called the government, I call Mike, and here's how that goes. Hey, Mike. You know, Josh with FA, we saw this opportunity. We believe you're going to be priming it. And Mike goes, well, Josh, you know, this is all great, but, you know, Mary in the other building. And I interrupt Mike. And I go, Mike, hey, just before you go on, just bear in mind, we've been talking to the government. We've been collecting information and intelligence. And I believe that our company can make your overall team more competitive. Everyone write that down. I can make your overall team more what? More competitive. Because that's your role. That's your primary mission, is to convince them not that you have great products and services. Your job is to convince them that you're going to make them more competitive. Because if you convince them of that, you're on the team. Like that. Okay? And so I interrupt Mike and I go, Mike, before you go on, you know, we've been talking to the government, we have intelligence, and what's the first words out of Mike's mouth? He goes, Josh, hold on one second. I'm going to get Mary, who's the capture manager, on the line. We're going to do a three-way. That's the difference between having information and not. It is so simple, right? Everybody tells you to do parts of this. I'm showing you the same information that you should already have, but putting it into a process, simple process that you can understand. You know, and by the way, first question that Mike or Mary then asks me, what is it? I tell them I spoke to the government, I've collected information. What is the first question that they ask me? That's right. What did you hear? What did they say? What do most small companies do? They tell them. And they lose all their leverage. Worst mistake is telling them. Your response is, would love to give you that information. But we have company procedures and process where, you know, standard operating procedures, we don't share our information or intelligence until after we are under a teaming agreement. That's the triangle. It is critically important everyone understand how this works. So again, every time you see an opportunity, pre-acquisition or acquisition, before you ever call potential partners, you always call the government first and ask some questions, because it allows you to communicate in a much stronger way and position in a much stronger manner. Only 10% of all the opportunities are on FedBizOpps. And, you know, excuse me. And most people's eyes are like, what? Huh? How can that be? Look, 90% of the opportunities in the market haven't hit acquisition yet. Yeah, there's, you know, always about 30-odd thousand opportunities in FedBizOpps, everything 25,000 over, but there's so much more. You know, there's 90% more. How do you, and we covered this to some level in the webinar last month, but how do you engage that 90%, that 45 and 45, right? Because your triangle will enable you through partnering to start increasing the number of opportunities in your pipeline. And when you're talking to the government and asking simple questions, you're going to start identifying other opportunities as well. Okay? So the teaming, triangle is not just to get on the team you want to get on, and it works very well. It is also to help you identify opportunities that are not in acquisition yet. Okay? Common challenges. Many of you, some of you may have said, hey, they won't call me back. If they don't call you back, it's because you're not communicating enough value. We don't have time to dedicate a resource to the proposal team. If you don't have time to dedicate a resource, then you shouldn't be on the team. Okay? You'll be blackballed in the industry. Big boys take care of themselves. It's how they got big. Of course they take care of themselves. And in general, for the most part, I'm being stereotypical here, they don't care about you. What do they care about? Money. They care about your ability to help them make more money. If you make some money at the same time, great. Don't make common mistakes. No begging. If you are using the teaming triangle, you're never begging because you're telling them you've got intelligence. Don't steal work. A lot of companies have stolen work. They'll put a company on the team, and then that, and that's if you're a prime. If you're priming and you promise a company a percentage of work and all of a sudden you have a cash flow issue, no matter how much you want to, say, hey, I promised you 5 bodies, I can only give you 4, because we're having cash flow issue, you will be blackballed in the industry. Never, once you have an agreement, don't steal from your partners. The triangle, etc. Your focus when you're teaming, it should not be based on individual opportunities. And that's how most companies do it, right? And that's why most companies fail. You don't find an opportunity and then go start calling a company and go, hey, I saw this opportunity, we're this type of company and it looks like we could work together. First of all, you may not even know this company. How can you even trust them, right? It's your brand and your corporate reputation. So your focus is mapping the value, not the products and services. Not the products and services you sell. That is not your mission. Your mission is to map the value of those products or services that you provide to your clients, right? And then tie it to the government opportunity. Do not call other companies and go, well, we do, network engineering, database administration, we do general construction, pick your industry, right? No, it's, hey, we provide the following value for our clients, and it's that type of value that the government's looking for on this opportunity. The first meeting, you've heard this before. This should not be new to anyone, but if it is, the first meeting should be you bringing an opportunity to them. You hear it all the time. It's very true. If you want to partner with a large company, what you do is you find a set-aside. Small, 8A, woman, veteran, hub, service disabled, ANC, whatever, right? Whatever your status is you may have. And if it's just small, it's just small. And you bring it to them and say, hey, I can do 100% of this contract, but I want you to backbone them. I want you to hey, big company, I want you to backbone my team. And if I can use one of your past performances, I'll give you 20% of the work. Okay? It's expected. Now, if you bring opportunities to these other companies, but you're not communicating what value you provide, it's like a triangle. It's dead on arrival. They're not going to care. Why? Because you're getting a call. They're getting calls from 100 other companies out there. So you've got to bring some value to the table. Also, this is incredibly important for the smaller companies here, and it's very strategic. Let's say you know there is a massive opportunity. It is a $250 million opportunity. Bring it down. It's a $25 million opportunity. I think for most companies that are on the webinar today, it's probably a lot of money, right? It's maybe more revenue than what you have today. At $25 million, you say, there's no way I can prime it. But you know exactly which company is going to prime and you think it's going to win. Instead of just approaching that company going, hey, you know, in about 8 months, this RFP is going to come out. We want to be on your team. You're like 1,000 other companies that want to be on their team. If you know that, look at an RFP you're working on right now. Say it's $1 million bid. You call that company that you want to be a sub on for that $25 million opportunity in 8 months, and today you go to them and you say, look, I'm going to bid this opportunity. We know we can win it. We have the right past performance. We don't need to subcontract anything. However, I want to build a relationship with your organization. If you will allow us to put you on our team, all I need is your corporate, you know, history and background, so I can stick it in, and one past performance. I'll give you 20% of the work. I'll give you $200,000. $200,000. Okay? Most large companies will go, yeah, sure. Yeah, all I have to give you are those 2 pieces. I already have those for other proposals. Now here's the thing, folks. Whether you win or lose that $1 million contract, that larger company is absolutely going to remember that you brought them onto their team and promised them 20% of the contract. Doesn't matter whether you won or you lost it. Guess what? 5 months from now, 3 months before that RFP is to release, maybe you did it one more time and you won or you lost. But 3 months before that RFP, you approach that larger company and you say, hey Mary, it's Josh. You know, oh, hey Josh, what's up? You got another opportunity? No, actually, I want to turn the table. I understand you're the capture for this opportunity with the U.S. Navy. Ah, yes, I am. Mary, I'd like a teaming agreement. I don't even ask if I can be on the team. I just go, Mary, I'd like a teaming agreement. And normally you'll get a chuckle, and all of a sudden you're on a team for $25 million, where you would have never gotten on the team before. So giving up $200,000 by giving 20% gets me onto the team I've been dying to get on. It's all about technique and strategy, okay? All right. Teaming agreements. It is standard for large companies. It is standard for large companies to require teaming agreements, right? Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, if they were to team on a massive opportunity, Lockheed, if they were prime, Northrop is going to demand, hey, Lockheed, if we're going to be on your team, instead of us going after this opportunity on our own, we want 35% of the contract, or however it works. That's standard. Small companies rarely are going to get a percentage. It is unusual. However, it's very common between smaller companies, right? So if all the companies are on the webinar today were to partner and team, normally what do you all do? You demand certain percentages. Now, some techniques I can recommend to you. If the larger companies will not, you know, say, hey, we'll put you on the team, but we're not guaranteeing you any percentages. You know, we've got 15 other teammates, etc. Instead of trying to, you know, do a percentage of dollars, say, hey, you know, hey, Mary, our specialty is task area 3, right? Or it's this product line, this, you know, commodity line. How about, you know, whatever task orders may come out or on this task area, we get 80% of the work. And all the other companies can fight over the other 6 task areas. Sometimes those larger companies go, yeah, we can do that. You've just guaranteed a percentage or dollars without, I mean, it's the exact same thing. You're just doing it a different way. Instead of dollars, I'm saying task areas. or again, product categories. Exclusivity. It is standard. Now, it is also, if there are complementary contracts, right, the government says we're going to release the competition for this contract is going to be two-piece, large, full and open, and then small business competition. If you go onto a larger team and sub, and you also prime, you are absolutely expected to put that larger team that you're on over here as a sub on you, on your team. If you put their competition on your team and they win, you'll never get work on their contract. Okay? So, complementary. Also, there are a lot of folks out there. This is really important. I want everybody to listen to this very carefully. A lot of small businesses believe that the more teams they are on and the ability to skirt around exclusivity allows them to put their eggs in multiple baskets and gives them an opportunity to win, maybe more so than before. Here's the problem. Let's say I'm a prime, and you come to me and you go, hey Josh, we want to be on your team. I look at your past performance. I look at the value you provide. I realize you can make me more competitive because you've convinced me you can make me more competitive. And I say, outstanding. Here's a TA. Sign it. Okay? And you come back and you go, hey, everything's good, but we don't want exclusivity. We really, really would, but we have this partner we've been working with for 3 years. We have to be on their team. Josh, they're not going to win. We know they're not going to win, but I have to be on their team. Otherwise, I will destroy a relationship that I've been building for years. People like me at this point may say, okay, fine. So you're on the team. You're on multiple teams, maybe more than 2, but at least 2. And guess what? My team wins a contract. What happens a lot is the other companies on the team get work, and you don't. And you wonder why. The reason why you're not going to get a lot of work is because you did not share the risk. You didn't share the risk. All the other companies on my team signed exclusivity. They took a risk. It was one shot. It was one and done. You put your eggs in multiple baskets. You didn't share the level of risk that I and the rest of your teammates had. That's why the danger of being on multiple teams, yes, when you're on multiple teams, you have a higher chance of winning. But your chance of getting work and making money decreases because of the shared risk. Okay? So very important. Something to think about. A lot of companies will say, oh man, it's not fair. Those big companies, they're unprofessional, it's unethical. We can't figure out how to give us work. The reason why smaller companies fall into these issues is because they don't sell the prime. And what you're doing is you're selling the prime, positioning your value, convincing them that you can make them more competitive, right? And you don't just do it before the RFP is released or during proposal. What do most companies do after a proposal is written, right? After the proposal is submitted, what does everybody do? They move on. What's next in the pipeline, right? Think about all the teams you've been on and how often you work with the prime, you're subbing, you work with the prime, the proposal gets submitted, and the next time you talk to the prime is maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, you're just sort of checking in. There are companies on that team that are calling every week. Every week during source selection. Hey Mike, how you doing? Hey Mary, how you doing? My weekly check-in. Hey, by the way, did you see that other opportunity over with the Department of the Interior? Yeah, it's very similar to the bid we just put in for the Navy. That's building a relationship, folks. So don't be the companies that the proposal goes in and you just sort of disappear. Constantly engage. Because guess what? If you're not doing that, the contract gets awarded, and say it was my contract, I'm the prime, who am I likely to call first? It's those companies that have been calling me every week and building a relationship with me. This is so simple, yet so complex. And I only say it's complex because so few companies think through the business logic of the relationships. Once the proposal goes in, you have to sell the prime all over again to ensure you're getting the work that you want. Okay? So don't stop talking after the proposal is submitted. Also, your teammates, if you're a sub, your teammates are your competition. Now, I have been to many national conferences where I have presented sessions, and I get nonprofits, I get for-profits, I get government program folks that scream bloody murder at me, and they go, why are you telling people this? Because this is what happens, folks, right? I'm giving you the business side. This webinar is not just about government teaming. It's about the business acumen that goes behind it, right? And this is why companies win or lose. So let's say I'm on a team. Let's say I'm on your team, okay? You're the prime. And there's 4 other teammates, right, that you have on your team that sub to you. And all of a sudden, we're on this government-wide acquisition contract. We won the contract. There's a task order coming out. And all of a sudden, I'm talking with the government trying to collect intel, right, because that helps me get work if your team wins. And then I say, you know, I'm talking to one of the other partners. I go, wow, I just talked to the government. Hey, you know that task order, or if you sell product, that contract, that RFQ that's coming out in 3 months. This is why these are the actual challenges they're having. And they said the reason why they're doing this is because of X and Y and Z. If I say that to another one of your teammates, what often happens is that other company goes straight to you. And they say, hey, Prime, I can't remember where I heard this, but here's some intelligence. It doesn't matter if the prime eventually finds out that it was that it came from me and my hard work. That other company on the team is going to get the work. So here's the deal. You treat every company on your team as the competition until you have provided the intelligence you've collected to the prime. Once the prime knows you're the one that did the hard work, then you can tell your other teammates, okay? But don't tell your teammates first, because they will position any way they can to look better in the eyes of the prime. See how we're doing on time? We're doing okay? Okay. Also, whenever possible, you'll want to be a first-tier sub. Why? You know, and by the way, if you're in construction, you really don't have much of a choice, right? You know, if you're construction, the GC, the general contractor, is going to have, you know, one side for construction, one for, you know, for labor, one for maybe electrical or plumbing or whatever, and then everybody else is second tier. Whenever possible, though, you want to be first, because if you look at this example, labor rate, everybody makes money on everybody else's backs. But 5%, you think, just 5%. That's almost $7,000 annually. So if you have the ability, always try to be a first-tier sub. Okay, always. You make more money. Now, this is how companies evaluate you. They may not say it, and they don't. They don't say, you know, hey, Josh, these are the ways that we're going to evaluate your small business. But there's 5 functional areas that are running through a business professional's head. 1, market acumen. Do you know the customer? Okay, many of you may not know the customer. You may be small, you may be new, what have you. But do you know the customer? by the way, at the beginning of the webinar, I said, hey, you know, every company should have 3 targets, 3 agencies, elements within those agencies, you know, or armed services or commands, etc. And all year round, you're building relationships, right? It has nothing to do with opportunities, folks. You're building relationships in order to position, differentiate, so that you can communicate competitive advantage on opportunities that you knew about before they hit FedBizOpps, okay? So if you have that process and you're engaging opportunities based on those 3 agencies that you are working, you know, to build relationships with, you may know the customer. Your location, are you close by to where this opportunity, the place of performance? That's 1. Number 2, back office maturity. If you are everyone, if you're a one-person company then, and you do all of this, it still applies. But your salespeople, do they have strong interpersonal skills? Do they believe you have the time, the investment potential, right? If they know from past experience that you are always going to be racing around and you've got too many activities on your plate and you're a chicken with your head cut off, that's not back office maturity. Now, a lot of us, you, do that. It is part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of being a small business owner. You're multi-hatted. You're doing all kinds of stuff. So all I would say to you is you need to create and work on the perception that you're less. You're doing that less, right? Because those are the companies more likely to be, taken onto teams. Your teaming maturity, if you teamed with other companies, you can look through the list here, but at the end of the day, no matter how strong the value is that you provide, again, it is not how strong your products or your services are. I cannot overemphasize this. It is how strong the value of your products and services provide, right? That is just as important as your back office maturity, or I should say your back office maturity is just important. Because no matter how strong your products or services are, if your company seems to be bumbling along and doesn't seem mature, you are a risk. You are a perceived risk, okay? The third are your competencies, right? Are they complementary? If I'm the prime and you approach me, what is it I'm looking for you to do? I am looking for you to make me more, what? Competitive, okay? I really could care less about the products and services you sell. Let me say that again. As the prime, I could care less about the products or services you sell because there are 100 companies like yours, and it may not be the exact same product or the exact same service, but the end state of those other products and services meet the same objectives, okay? So, anyway, so your niche, do you have a niche? Most companies think they do, they don't, but I'm looking for you to make me more competitive, okay? That's what you got to convince me of. Quid pro quo. Hey, 3 months ago, 5 months ago, you brought me an opportunity and said, hey, I don't need anything from you other than your company write-up and one past performance. You do that, I win that contract, I give you 20%. Okay? That's quid pro quo. I'm going to remember that. And then when you come up to me and you say, hey, we want to be on your team, I'm going to be thinking, hey, this is one of those companies that actually does it. All right, yeah, they've shown that they're willing to play ball with us. And the fifth and the final one. Notice it is the fifth. Notice it's the last one. Your status. This session today, I'm pretty sure we have a session. Veronica, if you can, when I finish, if you can validate if the positioning your socioeconomic status is one of our 5. We can do that at the end. But folks, I'm not going to go into great detail on this because I'm going to do it further in the presentation here. But stop introducing yourself as, hi, we're a woman-owned small business. We're a woman-owned 8A small business that provides these products or services. I know everybody tells you to do that. Stop it. Don't do it. And I'm going to explain why here in a little bit. But in terms of acquisition differentiators, your statuses, you're going to make them more competitive. You're going to make my team more competitive, not because of your status. There's plenty of 8As, women's, hubs, veterans, small, that do what you do. Okay? That doesn't make you more competitive. You do not win contracts because of your statuses. Don't care what anybody tells you. Because even if it's an 8A set-aside, once they decide the acquisition is going to be 8A, you are competing against all other 8As. Okay? Can they sole source? Yeah, okay, but they don't do it often. So whatever they decide to set it aside at that point your status doesn't matter. You've got to compete against all the other companies. So your statuses do not win contracts. They are simply an avenue for you. When it comes to teaming, I don't care about your statuses. I do, but I don't as the prime because there's 100 companies with your status. I'm waiting for one to convince me that they're going to make me more competitive. All right? This is basic. This is like basic business stuff, but normally you don't get instruction on federal acquisition with the core tenets of business. Okay? What I'm saying should make perfect sense. And if it doesn't, call me after the webinar. We'll talk through it. Okay. Doing good on time. All right. Differentiation. You're just another small business. Okay? When you differentiate, never differentiate yourself. Everybody goes, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, we're the best in our state. We're the best in our region. Nobody does it like us. Nobody has a QA process or a product line like ours. That's great. You sound like every other small company that's out there, right? Instead, you need to make yourself equal first, okay? And so, what I do, this is a great technique, is I'll go up to when I'm talking to a potential partner, I'll say, look, our website, just like everybody else's, indicates that we do, a dozen of these services. And look, Mike, it's the same services all the other companies are talking to you about. But the three that, but in reality, for us, the three that we specialize in are this one, and this one. Okay? Okay? Now, if I'm the prime and you say that to me, I'm going to sit back in my chair and go, finally. Finally a small business that doesn't think that they do everything. Okay? Now, the three that we specialize in, hey, look at our website, we do what everybody else does, but the three that we're really good at, that we specialize in, I change those three every time I talk to another company. And the three that I pick are the three that I know they're looking for. So I'm tailoring how I position with a company, okay? But this right here, differentiate, make yourself equal first, critical. You want to increase the perceived maturity of your company with another company like that, that's what you do. Now, how you differentiate, I'm not going to go through great detail on this. You have three levels: direct, indirect, and balancing, okay? Direct are the easy ones. Indirect, that's your reputation, etc. Notice your socioeconomic status is balancing, right? If you're small, 8A, woman, veteran, hub, etc., 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 it's not a direct or indirect differentiator. Why? Because once the acquisition is identified, everyone's going to either be 8A or everyone's going to be small. It just balances you out. The same is for your teaming partners, okay? Your CAPE statement, yes, it is your baseline, okay? It is your baseline. It should be on your website. It's generic, but you should tailor it for every single meeting, okay? And you should tailor it for your teaming partners. It takes 5-10 minutes. If you know what the opportunity is going to be, right, you're going to this prime, you come to me, and you change that first paragraph, and instead of the 12 services I provide, this contract is looking for these 2 or 3. Well, if they're on the bottom of my list on my CAPE statement for this one partner, I'm going to move them up to the top, and I'm going to put a sentence in my mission or my overview for the company that says, hey, we specialize in this. Why wouldn't you? Then as the prime, I'd be like, oh, well, they do exactly what I'm looking for. So tailor your CAPE statements. Don't just hand them out willy-nilly. Wow, willy-nilly. I think that's a Midwest. I don't know where I got that. That was odd for me. Okay, differentiation. Everybody has a different opinion on this. I will tell you, yes, the government says you're not supposed to use their logos unless it's been approved by Public Affairs, right? The PAO office. If you look at most large corporations, they don't use logos. If you look at most small companies, they all do. Everyone uses logos, okay? In general, if you send me your CAPE statement, I've got 6 seconds. In 6 seconds, I am going to look through, and I'm done. I'm not reading it all. I'm going to glance it. I'm going to give it 6 seconds. If I see past performance logos, you have succeeded. Immediately, I'm thinking, oh, okay, obviously has past performance, obviously mature, etc., etc. Okay? All right. Your CAPE statement. If you are unable to communicate value, okay, and again, we're going to talk a little on this, a little bit more today, but if all you can do is say, hi, we sell these products, and they're really good. If you sell services and you're just able to say, we do all these different services, but you can't tell me the percentages, the metrics. Our clients increase 30% on this and decrease by 25%. Our products increase productivity by X or what. If you cannot do that, your capability statement looks like this. I'm not guessing, I'm telling you. This is how it comes across, right? Hey, we're a small business, right? Government has a requirement to sell, send money through our program. We're really good. That's what your CAPE statement. I don't care how pretty your CAPE statement looks like. If you're not communicating value, you are wasting real estate, okay? Finally, and I am almost there. All right. When you meet with another company, a teaming partner, okay, this is normally what happens. You walk in, you're talking to them, and they ask you a whole bunch of questions. And by the time you're done, and by the way, this may not be for a specific opportunity. This may just be you, say, I want to come in and talk to you. After 45 minutes, the other person stands up and they say, hey, I've got another meeting. Sorry, it came up last minute. Thanks for coming in and talking to me. You go outside and you look up at the sky and you go, what did I just get out of this meeting? I did all the talking. Okay? I'm going to read through a 45-second intro. It's become very popular. A lot of organizations have picked this up. This is how you should introduce your company, okay? I come in, now by the way, this company is small, woman, and veteran-owned, okay? I'm going to read it out loud because I want you to see, maybe you'll see body language, but I want you to hear tone of voice. We're in the business of streamlining, consolidating info and data, across geographically dispersed networks, increase visibility and accuracy, speed of access across enterprise. On average, we save our clients about 30% in operational expenses and a little more than 45% savings in data integrity and database cleansing costs. Now, we've done this for Monsanto, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the Corps of Engineers, right? And like most companies in our space, our website, look at our website, our marketing collateral, lists a half a dozen services or products. But the two solutions that provide the most value are A and B. Now, but before I go into any more detail, can I ask a couple of questions that'll help me better understand your organization or your strategy? Would that be okay? 45 seconds. Now, there are 4 very distinct sections on this. And the first one is I'm telling you the value that my company provides. Everyone looking at this, tell me what type of company this is. Is this a construction firm? Is it an office supply firm? Is it a technology firm? It's technology, obviously, right? I mean, data, speed of access. Do I say I'm a technology company? No. No. It's obvious I'm a technology company because of the quantifiable, qualifiable metrics that I give you, right? Speed of access, accuracy, 30% this, 45% that. So the first part is me simply telling you the value that we provide to our clients. I don't tell you what services we provide. Number 2, my proof. We have provided these benefits to these organizations. Even if you're at a conference and you walk up to me and we introduce ourselves, you can tell me how great you are, but I don't know anything about you. You give me proof, immediately past performance, right? That's awesome. 3, what am I doing there? Like most companies, we have the same stuff. I'm making myself equal to my competition so that I have more perceived maturity before I differentiate. And then number 4, I take control. So I ask all the questions. Value, proof, make yourself equal and then differentiate, and take control. Now, did I mention, remember, this has been on every slide, I'm small, I'm woman, and I'm veteran owned, right? For this scenario. Did you hear any of that in here? No. It'll come out. It may be 10 minutes later. It'll always come out. Don't worry. You're just softly playing your status. That's all you're doing, right? They're not going to team with you or buy from you because of your statuses, okay? It's the value of what you provide. Okay. On that note, what did we learn? We learned a little bit about the criticality of intelligence to teaming, right? The teaming triangle. We talked about common challenges. We talked first versus second, how other companies evaluate your company's solutions, and then we walked through a really strong intro. If you're looking for a standardized intro, that 45-second will do wonders for you, both government and teaming partners, okay? And on that note, I am going to turn it back over to Veronica and her team and see about some Q&A. And hold on, before we do Q&A, one last thing. If you want to be in a drawing for a copy of the Government Sales Manual, it's digital, right? It'll be in your inbox later this afternoon. Just download the Success Kit, right? Go to rsmfederal.com/LinkedIn, and one of you will get the manual later on today. And with that, I will turn it back. Thank you, everyone, and I'll turn it back over to Veronica.
Thank you, Josh. We do have some questions, and the first one is, how do you get intelligence after the RFP is out? Since at that point the agency will usually not provide any information to a company.
That is a great question. And why you spend 80% of your time focused in pre-acquisition. there are several techniques, okay, that you can use in an attempt to engage contracting officers. I would say, to answer your question, as soon as you get a contracting officer on the phone, the absolute first words out of your mouth, should be, hey Mike, this is Josh with FA, and I'm not calling about any opportunities that are currently in acquisition. First words out of your mouth. I am not calling about any opportunities currently in acquisition. Take the wind out of their sails, because if you call and start asking any question that even remotely could impact a current acquisition, the contracting officer goes, stop right there, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you, we're already in acquisition, click. So regardless of what questions you ask, always preface your calls with, I'm not calling about any opportunities currently in acquisition, okay? The other way to, if there's a opportunity out, it's already in acquisition, you're trying to collect intel on it, are there any other opportunities coming out of that agency that are very similar that have not yet moved into acquisition? And then you ask questions on those opportunities and try to weasel your way into, figuring out intel for the current one. Those are a couple. The answer is it's pretty hard, but there are companies that try to make an art of it, but most important, I'm not calling about any opportunities currently in acquisition. You take all the thunder away from them. So there you go.
Josh, as a follow-up question, actually, even before the acquisition is out, some contracting officers will say, I cannot give you any future information about any information about any future acquisitions, because then that will kind of put you as that will give you competitive advantage, and I cannot show preferential treatment or preferences to any small businesses, and they will shut the conversation down as well. How do you go around that? Yeah,
great question. Some contracting officers you can't get around. I mean, and I want everybody to fully understand why these questions are coming up and why it's so difficult. Most companies, the larger mid-tier companies, couple $100 million and larger companies, have now added protesting to their standard operating procedures. It doesn't matter whether they legally should be able to protest. Every time they lose, immediately they protest. Okay, I mean, protests are crippling our contracting officers. So as a result of that, as a result of all the protests taking place, the relationship that should be there between the government and industry is being strained very, very hard. All I can do is say try to build a relationship with that CO or that KO. You're not going to go around them. Could you say, hey, this opportunity is not in acquisition, and I understand you think that by somehow I get some competitive advantage, but I'm telling you right now, based on the FAR, you are authorized to talk with me because it's in pre-acquisition. And if you're not willing, look, you can go down that road, but you're burning a bridge. Okay, you're burning a bridge. So the reality is, again, this is why you engage and partner with, or where you engage 2 to 3 primary agencies or armed services during a given year. Okay, and sorry, I hear a little one crying in the background. So anyway, there's little you can do. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of magic. It's just a lot of hard work and elbow grease over a period of a year.
And one more question. How about if you're a small company that is new to government contracting and don't have any prior experience? How do you show value without prior experience?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Veronica asked this, this company out there that just asked that question, please identify if you have any commercial past performance and how many years you have.
So it's just a company that has a little bit of commercial experience.
Okay, well, you see, and it makes a big difference here. It makes a huge difference. If we're talking 2 years, that may be enough commercial past performance. And having commercial past performance enables a company to show industry best practice. If you are completely spanking brand new and you don't have any commercial past performance, or very little, and you have no government past performance, do not forget that if you are in that situation, it may be 2 or 3 individuals that partner together to create a company. Do not forget there are ways for you to communicate your individual past performance in order to position it as corporate past performance on proposals. Okay? And I don't think we have time today to go through how that process works, but if anybody out there is really, really small or just getting off the ground, what you did when you were working for that other company last year, whatever work you did, you can in fact use that past performance. You just don't say it's corporate past performance. You say it is, you know, the members of our company, of our management team have past performance in X, Y, and Z. It's about marketing. It's about positioning. And there's some magic that you got to do with it, but that would be my response to that, Veronica.
Thank you, Josh. And to answer your previous question about the positioning, we do have a webinar on May 24th on how to engage and position during government prospecting meetings. So that's on May 24th. And then the next webinar is on April 26th on how to market to the government. So everybody, please register for those if you're interested. And on this note, I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and you have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.